Hey there, folks. Tonight, we're diving into the thrilling world of corporate finance, specifically the debt-to-equity ratio, or as we like to call it, the DE ratio. Don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. Think of it as a measure of how much a company owes compared to what it owns outright. Imagine a company as a daring tightrope walker. The tightrope is their business, and the safety net? That's their equity, the money they own free and clear. Now, debt is like the balancing pole. A little debt can help them stay steady and even perform impressive tricks like, growing the business. But here's the catch: too much debt and that balancing pole gets awfully heavy. One wrong step and splat. They're in a whole heap of financial trouble. That's why the DE ratio is important. It tells us how much risk a company is taking on and how much they rely on borrowed money. So, buckle up, because we're about to break down this financial balancing act and see what it takes for companies to stay upright and avoid a face-first plunge into bankruptcy. Let's unpack this DE ratio a bit further, shall we? Debt is like that friend who's always borrowing money, except it's millions or even billions of dollars. It includes loans from banks, corporate bonds, and money owed to suppliers. If a company has to pay it back with interest, it's debt. Equity is the more lovable part of the equation. It's the portion the owners actually own outright. It's their money plus reinvested profits. Debt is like those annoying relatives expecting a handout. Equity is like that cool, rich uncle who gives you money with no strings attached. Debt and equity, two sides of the same financial coin. Now let's see how these two financial players interact in the real world. Alright, enough with the metaphors, let's get down to business with some real-life examples. First up, we have Steady Eddie, a company with a DE ratio of 0.25. That means for every dollar of equity, they're only carrying around 25 cents of debt. They're like that friend who always pays their share of the bar tab, even if they only had one soda water. Now don't get us wrong, being financially responsible is great and all, but sometimes a little leverage can be a good thing. Take Risky Business, a company with a DE ratio of 3. They're using debt to fuel their growth, like a teenager who just got their hands on their parents' credit card. Sure, it could lead to some amazing opportunities, but it could also end in a mountain of debt and a very awkward conversation with the bank. Finally, let's meet Balanced Betty, a company with a DE ratio of 1. They found that sweet spot between playing it safe and living on the edge. They're like that friend who orders a burger and a side salad. They're enjoying the best of both worlds, indulging a little without completely throwing caution to the wind. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to the perfect DE ratio. It all depends on the company, their industry, and their tolerance for risk. Section 4. Industries and their quirks. Comparing apples and concrete mixers? Here's the thing about DE ratios. They're not created equal. Different industries have different norms. Kind of like how your grandma's definition of spicy is very different from a chili pepper enthusiast. For example, those heavy-hitting industries like telecommunications and utilities, the ones with massive infrastructure projects, often have higher DE ratios. Think of it this way. They need a lot of dough, and by dough we mean debt, to build all those cell towers and power lines. On the flip side, you have industries like software and tech, where the biggest assets are often the brainy folks coding away in their pajamas. They don't need to invest in giant factories or complicated machinery, so their DE ratios tend to be lower. Trying to compare the DE ratios of a telecommunications giant and a nimble tech startup is like comparing apples and, well, concrete mixers. They're just built differently. So, the next time you're scoping out a company's DE ratio, remember to consider the industry they're in. It'll give you a much better sense of whether their debt levels are par for the course, or if they're about to go careening off the financial tightrope. Section 5. Decoding the DE, because nobody likes financial puzzles. So you've got a handle on debt, equity, and the DE ratio. Congratulations, you're officially a financial whiz kid. Now let's use this knowledge to assess a company's financial health. A high DE ratio isn't always bad, and a low one isn't always good. Context matters. A high DE ratio could mean risk or a strategic move. Look at the DE ratio over time. Is it increasing? That could be a red flag. Stability is generally good. Compare a company's DE ratio to its peers. Are they an outlier or in line with the industry average? The DE ratio is just one piece of the financial puzzle. Consider profitability, cash flow, and management quality too. So, there you have it, a crash course on the DE ratio. Now go impress your friends with your financial prowess.